gentlemen, welcome to the Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I am Falakzeeb Khan, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leaders interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulas for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge-sharing community. We have one such corporate titan on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Ms. Mukul Singh. Hello, welcome, Ms. Mukul Singh. We are glad to have you here today with us on FaceTime with Leaders.
Thank you so much, Palak. It's indeed an honor and a pleasure to be here with you.
So let me give you a quick brief about Ms. Mukul. She is a distinguished senior BFSI professional with over 2 decades of versatile cross-functional experience, predominantly in leadership roles within the financial sector. Her tenure at Piramal Group has been marked by exceptional achievements in alternative investment products, insurance, customer management, product and marketing, and process design and development. So, Ms. Mukul Singh, our viewers would like to know about your career journey, fructifying in the form of your current designation at Piramal Group.
Yes, sure, Palak. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. So, in nutshell, if I have to start, I would say that my career journey has been both very, very fulfilling and full of learnings, both. So, and my overarching mantra and the key guiding principle that I have always followed is that of taking ownership and taking charge of the situation and responsibility at hand. What needs to be done has to be done. No excuses there. So with this as the core belief, it didn't start as a belief, but yes, it was always there in the core essence of my work and delivery across my various roles in the last 2 decades or so. I started my career with RPG retail, and actually that's what I wanted to do after my MBA. So I kind of had a dream start, and I got to experience the category and product management there, and understood the entire life cycle of products more from the customer standpoint and the demand standpoint, and also the vendor and distributor management more from the supply standpoint. So this was a very, very useful experience, and that set the ground for other experiences to come. This was in the non-BFSI side. My transition into financial services industry happened in the form of a sales job at Birla Sun Life Insurance. And this stands out in my career for 2 reasons, because I was at a very different life stage. Personally, I had just come out of my maternity break, so I had to manage sales targets alongside the vaccination schedules and my daughter's fever bouts and other requirements at home, especially when my spouse was not staying with me, and that too in a different city. It was not a city where I had grown up, so I'm grateful that I had support, and this is where I want to urge people from my fraternity to actually seek out support, because you can't do it all alone. And you understand the values of a very big and supporting ecosystem only when, at this stage, actually, when, at that point in time, things really did happen the way I wanted, and, with some thought and some push from my side. But, in hindsight, it looks like all very, very woven into a nice story of success. But it does take a lot of putting small bits together to make the story of your choice. So that, I would say, did kind of spell out for me that managing both the aspects, whether it's your, and I don't like to call it work and life, because life is life, whether it's your work life or personal life, both of it needs to be in harmony and in integration. And sometimes one aspect takes precedence and sometimes the other. So that was, a defining phase for me, to understand that both of it needs to coexist for me. Because as a person, I wouldn't want to take, or put one over the other for a larger spell of time. Of course, there would be times when you put one over the other, as a short-term priority. So that was Birla Sun Life Insurance. And then, of course, I moved to ICICI Bank, where taking the insurance experience ahead, I delved into bancassurance in the agri and rural markets there. So which was both life and general insurance. So this kind of made my insurance experience more complete and fuller, if I may say so. Because then now with this bancassurance experience, I got to experience both the product side to it, and in my earlier experience at Birla Sun Life, I handled the sales side of it. I understood it more from a distribution perspective now and a distributor's perspective now, while in the earlier experience, I understood it more from the manufacturer's perspective. And then, of course, at ICICI Bank, I also got the opportunity of working in the retail branch banking side, where I launched privileged banking, which was a proposition for the mass affluent customer segment. So, and worked on various sales enablers for branches and the branch team. So this experience again was very, very different, as it kind of embedded and blended both strategy and execution. So, and at scale. So how do you go about doing things at scale? What are the challenges? What are the planning that goes into it? How do you replicate success of one geography across, so that you get a ripple effect, and that success begets success across the country? So that was a key learning there. And then, of course, for the last over a decade, I've been with the Piramal Group in the alternative industry, handling various investment vehicles, starting from VCFs, PMS, and the AIFs now, involved in the pre-launch activities, launch activities, the regular life cycle management for the active funds, and then the exit, liquidation, and closure. So this again has given a very different perspective of managing senior key stakeholders across, whether it's within, whether it's the regulator, whether it's the industry intermediaries and distributors, and our own HNI or super HNI customers. So this again has been a very, very fulfilling experience for me, and I just hope that I continue to, take this experience further and do newer and bigger stuff ahead.
That's really very interesting and wonderful to know your career journey so far. So you have made numerous achievements in your professional life. Which of them do you regard as the biggest of all?
So Palak, taking from my current job, of course, here I've been involved in various fund launches, right from conception to, filing, to the mobilization phase, to investor onboarding, and in the mix of various regulatory changes and changing paradigms, both from a expectation standpoint of your distributors and investors, and the change in regulatory oversight. So this, I would say, gives very, very, this gives a different kind of satisfaction. And I don't think I should be seen as blowing my own trumpet, but this is a very unique experience of having managed or been a part of the entire life cycle, right from inception to exit, liquidation, and closure, and seen the entire changing paradigm of the industry. So this has been very, very fulfilling. And another one that I want to add would be the privileged banking launch at ICICI Bank, because that gave a very different taste of scale and execution with strategy and replicating success stories. So that, again, these two would stand out for me.
That's really great to know. So I'm sure in your career journey, you've had a lot of learning which has led to your success. So I want to know, like, which part or phase in your career journey do you regard as your biggest learning experience that laid the foundation for your success?
So, Palak, I would want to answer this differently. I wouldn't want to actually bring out a specific phase in any part of my career, but during my entire journey of the past over 2 decades, there have been multiple points in time where, there have been situations where I had to hear a no. Okay. And that, whether it was, at the beginning of the career or across, or in the present role, but that kind of, over the years, I have developed this mental model now as to two things that I always remember is who's your stakeholder and what's his win, and what is it that you want out of that interaction or the opportunity or the situation. So I call it the stakeholder win model. That's my mental model. So I always keep that with me, because, if you are not prepared and if you do not anticipate what is it that the other party may also want out of this interaction or opportunity or situation, then you're not well equipped and prepared, and then you would continue to hear and go. So that's one mental model that I always follow, and that's been my biggest learning experience across, and it will always be a work in progress, even though I may be well equipped to understand from that standpoint, okay, fine, these are the kind of wins, or this is the requirement. But then in that situation, how do you tweak, adapt, and align so that you come out with a win? So, this for me has been the biggest learning, so to say. And the other one has also been that, in a situation or in a work or in any given requirement, I kind of deconstruct both the macro and the contextual part of it. So I look at that situation both from a macro perspective and the contextual perspective. So which also is very important, because, if you always have a big picture without understanding what could be the context of the other person, then, there can be an alignment failure. Or if you're always in that time and space without understanding the bigger ramification and implication, that could also lead to potential disasters, if I may use that word. So these have been my two key learnings. Of course, there are numerous others, but these two stand out for me. And I always keep them handy with me when I am, dealing with very important and urgent or sensitive matters.
That's really wonderful to know. So when we talk about ESG, how and when did you develop an interest in ESG and corporate governance?
So I've been a part of this fiduciary funds business for the last over 10 decades. And, when you're dealing with investors' money, or when you're a part of a fund setup, a strong and robust corporate governance is the bedrock of your interaction, engagement, and delivery to your customers' requirement. I think interest towards corporate governance has been more logical, I would say, for me. And if you look at the kind of regulatory oversight and, the changing paradigms that are at play currently, I feel and I strongly believe that strong corporate governance has to get embedded in each and every activity very firmly and more robustly now, beyond the checkbox approach. So for me, I think I would say it's more logical and natural. And for ESG, I guess, the troubled times that we all experienced as a mankind, just about to 2.5 years back, and where most of us were put to think deeper at deeper levels as to what are our core values and how and to what extent do we want to compromise, if I may use the word, around our short-term goals versus the long-term purpose that we have in life. I know I'm sounding a little philosophical here, but I guess those times put me to those kind of deeper thoughts, and that's where ESG, while the concept has been around for some time, and now I guess corporates and industry is taking it far more seriously than it was earlier. And again, so that's been again a choice that I made around those times to think deeper about your immediate communities, about any ecosystem that you inhabit, of course, at work and in your personal life, and think deeper around issues that would impact the earth and the environment, not just 10, 20, 30 years down the line, but of course for your children and grandchildren and their grandchildren. So those thoughts emanated more maybe as a result of the tumultuous times that we all went through, and personally I did go into much deeper levels than I have gone previously ever, and that's been the beginning of my ESG journey, if I can say that in brief.
That's really nice. So my next question to you again is that as an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
For both ESG and corporate governance, the core is the development and implementation of strategies that integrate environmental and social considerations into the company's operations. So this is a no-brainer. However, what we see currently is a lot of check the box approach, a lot of just do the basic hygiene checks. But I would want to add two main things here. How do you use both governance and ESG as your competitive advantage? I would say that companies that are embedding these considerations into their operations across various functions, they will be more equipped to understand what are the changing priorities and the requirements and changing consumer preferences, and they would be quicker to adapt to that. So I would say this stands out and this gives them an edge over their competitors. So merely using ESG and corporate governance as a check the box, I would say my perspective is that use it to your competitive advantage. And of course, the second is the risk management. So when you are attuned to the corporate governance and ESG considerations, then you are better equipped to manage and mitigate and assess the various risks that your organization can possibly face. And hence you are able to manage your reputation better, manage your investor and stakeholder better. And of course, this adds up to your operations and your game. So I would say ESG and corporate governance, shun the check the box approach and use it to your advantage.
So that's really a great thought, I must say. So when we talk about technology, as someone working closely with technology, what are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with changes in technology? And what changes do you expect to see with the advent of IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, big data, and Web 3.0?
Oh, Palak, you've used so many of these new age technologies in one single breath. Anyways,
yeah,
that is on the lighter side. While it may sound cliche, but I would want to still add that the way we used to talk and think about tech, say, 15 years back, to how technology is so integral and central to both our personal and work lives is amazing. I think earlier on, we used to always only think about where the customer is and what is the market. And now you're thinking of what is your tech architecture and what's your tech stack like. So I think the conversations have shifted tremendously. And, as far as my work area goes, while of course we are seeing AI being adapted more in terms of services and operations with the use of chatbots. But with the advent of generative AI and ChatGPT and BART that we are talking of course, I think organizations will, of course, they will be developing their own use cases and their own policies around the usage of these new age techs. But I think a lot of work needs to be done more on the corporate side in terms of framing policies on the usage, because these new age tech comes with their own set of, if I may use the word, challenge. What about inaccuracy error that a generative AI can throw up? What about IPR risk that you may, as an enterprise, face? So what are the operating and governance frameworks that you are putting in place is very critical. So I'm saying this more from the organization standpoint. And of course, they will also need to define, what is the operating architecture or operating framework for employees enterprise-wide. So that's another to-do for the corporates and the policymakers. Of course, each organization will think through its own levels of risks and own levels of adoption of these new age techs. But these, in my opinion, will be the starting points. If not, then, if they've not already started here, they will need to do so in the coming months. So generative AI can also throw insights on the, compliance insights on ESG and track efficiency improvements that could have happened, or public sentiments around some of the key social issues, and then what organizations can do to address their own specific industry related or company related aspects. So I think use of technology, whether we like it or not, of course we are not in any space to even say that it's going to diminish in any way, but we'll need to be equipped to manage the risks that emanate from it and use it to our advantage, develop newer use cases and develop newer frameworks to use it better.
Yes, definitely. So, as you know, we are building a community of industry magnets. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. So, what are your thoughts about this initiative taken about by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Hemant Mehta, and the whole World Development Corporation team?
I think it's incredible, Falak. It gives a platform to experts from various backgrounds, and I don't want to call myself an expert. We are all work in progress, if I may use that word for myself at least. But it actually encourages perspectives and insights and thought leadership across industries, across domains, across functions. And this is a wonderful starting point, I would say, for the entire industry to come together and give their views on some of these very critical aspects and very, very important and, future-ready aspects, especially around tech, around ESG. So I think kudos to the entire team.
Thank you for these really kind words. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you, Ms. Mukul Singh, for joining us today. We wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds. Thank you so much once again for sharing all your wonderful career journey, your different insights, your values and principles that you follow in your day-to-day life. I'm sure, everyone watching this, it is going to help them grow in their careers too.
Thank you so much, Palak, for having me here. I'm indeed honored and humbled both. Thank you.
Thank you.